is God, husband, wife, and then children. But I look at more so, instead of it being more so of a daily walk, I think about it more so as seasons. In different seasons, there were times where she had to take, more lead or was better at things than I was. But as men, I want to encourage them to never necessarily take advantage of that.
For me, the Lord is like my everything. And so like when I'm serving my husband, when I'm serving my children, I do it like I'm serving him. And so because he saved my life, like I feel like I owe him everything.
Yo, welcome back to another episode. Welcome to the Bridge of Proverbs,
where we hope to
help you
be the bridge
that helped you
get over.
Yeah. So I know you see our brother Zack back again.
I'm back. I'm back.
We got his wife Donisha. And in this episode, we are going to be talking about family, ministry, God. And so first we're gonna just jump right on in. But first, we want Zack and Donisha to kind of give us a little background about themselves and talk a little bit about how they met.
Absolutely. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
You got it.
So again, from last episode, I'm just a small boy from Orlando, Florida, born and raised, with amazing parents. So up until my life, what's so crazy? So when I graduated in high school, from one of the best high schools in Orlando, I'm not going to say where, but anyway, being raised in the church, I've always believed in the power of words. There's so much authority and power in words. So anyway, when I graduated from high school in 2011, I lie to you not, y'all. Anybody that's on here could be my witness. When I was going into college, I decided to go to a historically black college in Daytona, Bethune-Cookman. So starting my freshman year, even before I got to Cookman, I said, you know what? I'm leaving college with a wife. I love you not, God. I said that. And I don't, this to be quite honest with you, I don't even remember if I actually believed what I was saying, but I always just kept saying that, like, oh, I'm leaving college with a wife. I'm leaving college with a wife. And when I got to college my freshman year, I went ballistic. I went crazy. I forgot all about my Christian morals and so forth. And I was able to rededicate my life. I had an experience with the Lord on my own, my sophomore year of college. And shortly after is when I met Donisha. And it's so funny talking about earlier. I love seeing her name right.
In the last episode, we were saying Donisha.
Yes.
My girl said, that's not how you say my name. It's Donisha.
We got that from Zack.
Blame it on him.
So I love saying Donisha.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, we met in 2012, made it official in 2013, and we actually got married our senior year of college while we were still in school.
Wow.
In 2014. So
a man that know what he wants.
Come on.
Yeah. So those 12 years that went by tremendously fast, and now we have 4 beautiful kids.
Yes.
Donisha, you remember it the same way?
So no, it's crazy because so like completely different from Zack. I'm from Jacksonville. I was like, I'm going to school. I am going to be a businesswoman. I don't plan to get married. No children, none of that. And all of this was up until my sophomore year, and that's when I encountered the Lord. I didn't grow up in church like Zack, so my experience with the Lord, I didn't know what it was. So I was searching for something when I was in the middle of going through something, and it's like he found me in that place right in my apartment. And I told my best friend who I went to school with, I was like, I don't know what I'm looking for, but I feel like I need to go to church. And so I would say maybe about 6 months after going to church, I was like, whatever guy that I meet, I want him to be a Christian. I want him to be saved. And I think I'll try this boyfriend thing out. And so I remember meeting Zack, and I was just like, immediately I was like, nah. I was like, I think he's too short. I'm not gonna say it. But you know, like I was so like our conversation, it was just something about him. I was just so captivated by it. So I was like, you know what? Like, I think I want to make this work. And he, like you said, he knew what he wanted, and I wanted to take things slow. But he was like, I'm not about to just be talking for no reason.
Come on and talk.
So we made it official, and I remember there was one pivotal moment before we made it official. Him and I had a date at the beach, and that's when we just poured out like our testimonies, and that's when I knew, like, yeah, this is the one.
You was captivated by the light of the Lord.
This is the one. Yes,
it was the eye.
Yeah.
It was the eyes. But I knew.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, we got married.
Yeah.
We have 4 children. It has been beautiful. We basically grew up together. So it's been beautiful through every season. So,
yeah.
I love that.
Also, I have a disclaimer though. Even though we're doing this podcast, which is amazing, this is our experience.
Yes.
Our journey. We are not experts.
Yep.
Of course, we don't have a perfect marriage. No marriage is perfect. Every marriage has issues and things. So, for example, I want everyone to be like, you know what? Those perfect people. Or if they spot something that's imperfect in us, say, you know what? They're not as perfect as they claim to be on that podcast. We are not perfect at all. This is just our experience and our journey.
There's only one perfect man, and that was Jesus.
Right.
That walked this earth.
Amen.
Hello.
Amen. Amen.
But I love that. And what I do want to point out, though, is your intentionality. That right?
Yes.
These brothers out here can use some help with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Over here playing again. No, you knew what you wanted. And you stated that. It was clear.
Absolutely.
You know, and she was able to make a decision.
Yep.
And so I think brothers that's out here looking for wives, be intentional.
Yes.
All right.
Exactly. That's key. All right. So our first question, first, thank you for giving us a little background about how y'all met. I love that. That's actually my first time hearing how you guys met. And it's so funny because we go to church together, we go to Deeper, and so I just think it's so important to build with one another too, to get to know each other. And so thank you guys for sharing that with us. We know that like the divine order God has put in place for us, which is God, husband, wife, children. What does that look like for y'all on a daily basis?
Absolutely. I love that question. And really just pondering about that is, of course, is God, husband, wife, and then children. But I look at more so, instead of it being more so of a daily walk, I think about it more so as seasons. In different seasons, there were times where she had to take, more lead or was better at things than I was. So, for example, when we first got together, see, I was raised with, with both parents that just kind of gave me everything I wanted. So really, I didn't budget money as well, right? As her. I was horrible, but I wasn't as good as her. So a certain part of our season, in the financial aspect, she kind of was more so, took a little more lead in that, was able to help me budget more financially and things of that nature, since she was strong in that area. Also, when you mentioned the church, of course, I was raised in the church, but shortly before attending Deeper, I was in a really dry season with the Lord, and really in a lukewarm state. And during that time, in the spiritual aspect, I would say it looked more untraditional, where she really was more of the spiritual one. So again, as I say, like, everyone's marriage and experiences are different. But one thing I can say, in certain seasons, it looks really, really different. So that's what I would say for us.
And I would say, just piggying back off of Zack, like, for me, the Lord is like my everything. And so, like, when I'm serving my husband, when I'm serving my children, I do it like I'm serving him. And so, because he saved my life, like, I feel like I owe him everything. And so, like, his word, if I'm following his word and the Lord tells me to submit unto my husband, there are times where I don't agree with certain things, right? There are times when I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting off work. I'm so tired, you know, and there are some days where I'm like, Zach, can you just, you know, can you back, I know it's my night, but can you back the kids? Can you, you know, do that? So like he said, it's in every season, but with every season, not forgetting that our help is coming from him. And like, when I tell y'all, like, he comes through in the clutch a lot. And I just absolutely love that God knew exactly what we needed. He knew we needed each other, you know, like just to build off of each other, like how we parent our children. Like I always tell him, like, I think this is one of like our stronger suits because we agree. And there are times when we disagree when it comes to raising kids. But like him and I, it just seems so natural. Like once the children came, the parenting just came, and we both were scared, but we just trusted that the Lord trusted us with these kids. So we're like, Lord, we need you.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
We need you.
Right.
You know. So that's what I would say. Like, I definitely agree with him about the order and the seasons. And
I love how you pointed that out. How you said it's not really a daily walk, but a season, because it's gonna look different in certain seasons. And I love how you shared where you weren't in a specific season of your life where you had a strong relationship with the Lord, but she was more stronger in that area.
Absolutely.
And so, like how y'all said in the beginning, every relationship, every marriage is going to look different. And so, but the point that Donisha had pointed out was the Lord being the one giving you the grace to be able to pour out into one another and into your children. And I love how you talked about how when you're serving your husband, it's like you're serving the Lord. And I think that is key. Okay, because that's exactly how it should be in a marriage for both parties, husband and wife. You're serving one another, should be serving one another as if you're serving Christ.
One thing I love that Donisha mentioned too, what brought remembrance, and even just going back to reflecting on your question in regards to, you know, the divine order of God, husband, wife. But as men, I want to encourage them to never like necessarily take advantage of that, right? Because before we started going to deeper, which is hilarious, is really I was raised in an amazing, strong, foundational church, and literally I just decided to go to deeper just on one occasional Sunday just to visit, you know, because William McDowell's music is just so amazing. He's so anointed. And we've always acknowledged, even before attending Deeper, that, you know, Deeper was a good church. So really, we didn't have no reason to relocate, go to a different church at all. And I was just going to Deeper just for one Sunday to visit, right?
I recommended.
She did. So I stepped into Deeper, and that's a whole nother story. But at that moment and in the season, that's where the Lord directed us. So in the beginning, when I talk about not necessarily taking advantage of that divine order, it was some resistance initially. Like my dude was like, I love our own church. I ain't going nowhere. Like I love it too. And I said, you know what, God, if this is the place that you want us to be, you will reveal it unto her. I don't have to be like, you know, this is where we gonna be, and that's it. It would be just you will tell her. So yeah, and you see where it went.
I see where it went. That's church blessing.
So really, I would encourage any husband on here to don't take advantage of it. If there's some resistance there in any way, pray. And the Lord, He'll answer.
I love
that. If His will.
Yes.
I love that. I just love where we're at this point, how we talked about, you know, how you guys met and everything.
Absolutely.
Because we know it says in scripture, and you'll hear Christians say all the time, you know, don't be unequally yoked. And so like the first thing that I love about y'all's story is y'all both, even though she became stronger later on, y'all both, before you met, was seeking God and trying to get your relationship back in right standing with God. And I think that's so important because I say all the time, God knows the end from the beginning. Right? And you know how Donisha said, you know, it just works the way y'all parent, everything it just comes natural. Why? Because God knew what y'all needed. You know what I mean? In each other. And so I just love how that just works out, and when we're unequally yoked, sometimes like it don't work out like that.
Exactly.
Everybody's story is different,
Yeah.
but I think including God in your life personally as an individual will help lead up to that point of your life in marriage and who you marry, and He knows, what's best for you. He know what you need, and so I just love that how I brought that out, and I just wanted to emphasize on that because I think that's so important because I think marriage, that's like the area that people don't want to fully give to God, because they're like, nah, let me just choose. Let me just, pick on that God because, he or she got to have blah, 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 blah. But God knows. And so, like what Donisha said, at first she didn't really, she was like, I know he ain't told love for this man, but after, like, I believe seeing his spirit and getting to know him, it was like, God, gave you that piece to say, this is it, and you accepted that and looked at, where you are. So I love that. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, sis.
You're welcome. But my next question, or our next question rather, is what is your definition of marriage, right? And you touched on it already, especially Donisha, on how do you balance and manage serving each other through marriage? So you could reiterate what you already said about serving if you want, but first, like, what's your definition of marriage, and then how do you balance and manage serving each other through it?
I would honestly say my definition of marriage would be love that's a decision, right? So every day, it's not like we're always going to be like, oh my God, everything's so perfect, everything's so great. But like today, I'm making a choice that I'm choosing to love my husband. I'm choosing to serve my husband. I'm choosing to be here. I'm choosing to be present. I'm choosing to want to know where he is, in his, mental capacity or his spiritual life. Like, I feel like marriage is a lot of choices. Like, you're either choosing that, I'm going to look at all the bad stuff and I'm going to say, you know what? No, Lord, this is not for me. Or I'm going to look at, no, Lord, I love you. So, Lord, help me to love him better. Help me to love my children better. Lord, if there's anything in me, like, I remember one season in our marriage, I was praying, but not praying for, Lord, make him better, make him this, but no, like, even though it hurt through that season, my prayers were more like, Lord, I pray that you would strengthen him. Lord, I pray that you would help him. Pray that you would give him the spiritual desire. I pray for, like, my prayers change. So, like, I feel like a lot of times when it comes to marriage, like I said, God is my he literally like saved my life. Like, I would not be here had it not been for him like stepping in. And so, like, because I love him so much, I want to do everything that he's called me to do. I'm not gonna get it right all the time. I'm not gonna be every day. I'm repenting. Every morning I'm repenting. Throughout the day I'm repenting. But me choosing, like, Lord, I choose, this is what you've given me, Lord. So I choose to do what you have called me to do and put together in front of me and my family, So I feel like the true definition of marriage is just like loving each other and making that conscious choice that I'm choosing to be present with you in whatever season that it's going.
Amen. I would say the same. Yeah, really.
I love that.
Yeah, I would completely agree.
I love how you talked about in the beginning how you said like that love is not like this this fuzzy feeling, and the Holy Spirit just dropped this example in my spirit as you were talking. You know how the scripture says to love your God with all your heart. The love in that sense is a call to action.
Amen.
It's a verb.
Amen.
It is not this fuzzy feeling. Right, so if you love you love your God with all your heart, you're gonna obey His commandments. It's an action you are doing. Okay, it's not just this this fuzzy feeling, this emotional feeling that we get. Which yes, and there are times where we will get emotional, but we are called to action. Love your God with all your heart. If you love me, you will what? Obey my commandments. It's a call to action. And so I love how you pointed that out with that, it's not this fuzzy feeling. I think that we get that mixed up, especially through movies that we watch.
Right.
It shows this perception of relationship and marriage that it's supposed to be all Skittles and rainbows, and it's this fuzzy feeling, and it is not all the time. So yeah.
And I'm gonna go back to, because I think our relationship with God is everything.
Right.
And just to piggyback off what Desiree is saying, I think it is so crucial to keep, emphasizing your love for God, because it is your love for God that, like Desiree is saying, allows you to submit to God and obey God, that taught and trained you how to do the same for your husband. And when we think about God's love for us, like Desiree saying, that action, He don't love us because we perfect.
Right.
He don't love us because we get everything right. We certainly don't. But instead, He loves us unconditionally. And I think in marriage, sometimes that comes, or you gotta love that person unconditionally. When they're getting on your last nerve, when they're doing stuff that really, is you don't agree with, and I think that it is so important for us as women to be wives to God first in our singleness, because that really is going to help us and prepare us for being wives with husbands. So I'm going to keep going back to that relationship with God, because it's so key. It's so key.
It is, girl. It is.
Yes. And so my next question, I've seen so many controversies over this, where I've seen TikToks of people going back and forth on the question of, if your wife and your children were about to fall off a cliff, who would you save first, right? And you see this back and forth, and it's just honestly amazing to see people's mindsets and their morals behind the answer to that question. And so, does your ministry to your children come first, or does the ministry to your spouse come first?
Absolutely.
You want to answer first, or you want me to answer first?
Okay. It don't matter.
You want me to answer?
What I would say is, going again, is I do believe that when you are married to someone, the good intentions are there, right? So of course we can unconsciously maybe put the kids first with the demands of life. We have 4 kids, they all in sports, they all have stuff going on. So I think unconsciously that can easily happen. But of course, the divine order is your spouse does come first. But I think, unconsciously and by mistake, without even, naturally even thinking, the kids can, kind of accidentally, in that little fine line there. But again, just for us, and every marriage is different, our parenting aspect is one of the strongest areas, if not the strongest area of our marriage. So really, when it comes to kids, for us, I would say it's just literally been such a huge blessing. That's one of the strong areas for us. Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. No, I would say similar to that. It could be like unknowing that you are putting, bless you, girl.
Oh, excuse me.
Putting your children,
okay, go ahead.
Putting your children first. And just in certain, like if they're sick or whatever that daily looks like. But I believe, like I said, like when you make the choice, like, no, I'm not intentionally, like, and y'all are having that open communication, like, oh, I felt like you, or you felt like, then that's when you're like, oh, okay, that wasn't my intention. So like you said, I do believe that in certain points or just certain days, like if they're sick or it's a sports game going on or something like that, like one thing that him and I tried so many times to do is to be intentional with each other first.
That's
like trying to put a date on the calendar, like, okay, let's at least do a date, like once a month or something like that, so that we don't forget that, it's us, then the children. So like our daily may look like that sometimes, but like just being intentional about trying to, like, no, y'all, we gotta connect with each other, because once they're gone, it's us, So
yes, exactly.
One thing I do want us to be, because viewers, we both work in education. We started a little bit, but really I would even encourage you all to take one day off the month just to spend time with each other. And that's what we're going to make sure we be consistent with. Is just take one day, choose one day. If you don't got the hours, make it up. I'm talking about your PTO or whatever, elsewhere. But yeah, just call out one day, and it necessarily doesn't have to be anything planned or money. You can just be laying, on the couch together, looking at TV.
I love that.
Or just go, drop the kids off. Don't let nobody know that you're doing it. Keep it between. Pretend like you're doing your regular routine, and come right back to the house.
Exactly.
So literally, I would encourage the viewers to do that. But I think doing intentional things like that. I'm glad you mentioned that. Could really, really help a couple that may be struggling in that area.
Yes, and I love how you pointed out. I think it was Donisha that was talking about it. I can't remember exactly what you had said, but I'm trying to remember, y'all, because I had my train of thought and now I lost it. Oh, where you were talking about basically how being intentional with about each other and your time. And I remember, y'all gonna see, I watch a lot of stuff, but I remember watching this video, and this man who's married, he was talking about how basically if his wife is good, he knows his kids is going to be good. And he was basically talking about how pouring into his wife is so important, because you don't know, your wife carries a lot as well, especially with kids. And so if her needs are not being met, then the kids' needs are not going to be met. And so it trickles down. So he's like, I make sure my wife is good. As long as my wife is good, when I'm not there, I know my children are going to be good. And so, and I also like how y'all also pointed out how maybe like unintentionally they will.
What's up, y'all?
Your stars. JD, your stars. Tell me later.
This can't happen, with
exactly, y'all.
Tell me
Go back, big boy.
The stars.
This is a part of ministry. That's a part of it. This is raw. This is real, uncut. This is literally what it is. This ain't no professional podcast here, okay?
That's all right. This is just right
I
here.
know.
All right.
I lost my train of thought, but we're gonna move on.
Well, I do have a good point in regards to that. The kids all the time will try to interrupt the time when it's just for y'all two.
Yes!
That happens all the time.
Yes!
So listen, there's nothing wrong with locking that door. Turning the TV up.
He do lock the door. No, he lock the door.
That is hilarious. I love that though.
I love that too.
Yeah, sometimes they lock the door.
Oh my goodness.
And mama, let him lock the door.
Right.
I was in.
Okay.
I make sure the door is locked.
That is hilarious.
That was actually the perfect time.
Y'all need your time too. So yes, locking that door is necessary at times.
Yes, it is.
Anyway,
did you remember your train of thought before I jumped in?
I can't remember. I think I was talking about a video that I watched, but I think Zack was about to say something.
Well, yeah. Just even with us being in the middle of the field, we can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
So literally, sometimes even with parenting, it's going to be different, during different seasons where if one person putting in 90% of spending time with the kids, another person doing 10, vice versa, because, schedules look different, demands of work be different, seasons of life is different. We both are in school for our doctorate that we're trying to finish up. So really it's different. It's different seasons, different percentages. So really just intentionality is all, all what it boils down to.
You trying to get your doctorate too?
Yeah, girl.
Yeah.
All right, so we said family ministry. Let's add education right on top of that. My God, with 4 kids.
Yes.
Jesus. Yes. And they're active in the church. Okay, they are active at Deeper, serving. My God.
Bless you. My God.
No. I
love it.
No.
I love that.
People trying to tell me to go for my a PhD, I was like, I'm done.
Oh,
you can do it, girl. You can do it. The time goes by so quickly.
It does.
It does. Like we're done with all of our coursework. 2 years done.
Wow.
Comprehensive's done.
You won't convince me.
Time to write it.
Yeah.
I got my license and I'm stopping right there.
But you know what? And that's okay. Because that's what the Lord is called, you know.
And what's so crazy
that's
too
good.
is we got our masters together also. We
Wow.
finished our masters at the same time too.
We grew up like everything
I love
together.
But we had only 3 kids at the time, but yeah, we did it together.
Don't say only. Only 3 kids at the time.
I was about to say I was pregnant with
you was
Gianna
pregnant,
when I was at.
So 3 kids and pregnant.
Pregnant.
I was pregnant.
And
God,
I'm glad you said that because they're probably like, oh,
yes, look at my girl.
Okay, yes. I think that is noted and quoted. Okay, I love that for you.
Wow. Oh my God,
that is amazing. But so I love how we talked about y'all intentionality, like to set aside time for each other. And I think even in that intentionality, but especially when you don't have that intentionality in marriage, what are some of the signs, right, that indicate you need a reset in your marriage?
Absolutely.
Because, even in your intention, you do things on autopilot, right? You're going to 4 kids, work, school.
It's definitely
autopilot,
Yes.
But like, what are some of the indicators, that it's time for a reset?
Well, one thing that I do love, and for some viewers that may be unfamiliar with this, with us both working in education, and really all of us this year, we have something called restorative practice. And me and Donisha actually incorporated restorative practice within our marriage.
Wow.
So periodically, we just ask each other reflective and restorative questions like, hey, how's everything looking for us? Or on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate how everything is going? So I think even beforehand, before getting to that point of, hey, we need a reset, periodically go over like restorative practice questions. For some couples, that may be every few days. For some others, that may be weekly. But I would at least say weekly. Just say, how do you think this last week went? What are some areas that you think we can improve in? What are some things that you like that I was doing that I could continue doing? Because restorative practice is all about community. And with community, marriage is a community. It's just us,
it is.
So really, for some viewers that may not be familiar with restorative practice, literally, I'm so thankful for ChatGPT. Like in ChatGPT, you put it down. What are some restorative questions for marriage? And ask each other some of those questions. Even on TikTok, they have like little games that couples can ask. Of course, some of them may be a little rated R, which may be good for the marriage too. But also on the flip side, for the marriage, just going over practical questions like, just regular restorative questions, just so you can stay abreast before it gets to that point of I need a reset. Because I think once you recognize that, it's already to a point of frustration. So I think, periodic check-ins is what will prevent the point of frustration and saying that I need a reset.
Yeah, and honestly, that it hasn't always been like that for us. Like it took, like we've been together for 13 years now, and so like communication has come in phases, and so like as we like learn to strive to want to do better for our husband or want to do better for each other, then we've learned like, okay, communication is something that's super important to us. And so in order for us, because I'm more like quiet and more like, just let it brush off, and he's more vocal, like obviously, even though we're that doesn't work in a marriage, we have to be able to, like, I be able to express how I feel and he's able to express it, and for us to both receive it. And so like literally through like prayer and just like as we strengthen our relationship with the Lord, we realize like, oh, it's better for us to like do these check-ins because nobody's upset right now. We're not in a space where like, okay, I'm not going to receive what you're saying and you're not going to receive what I'm saying. But now, because we do this so often, it's made it so much easier to communicate. Like so much easier for us just to like, even if it's something that I did that he didn't like, or something that I need to improve, or something that he needs to improve, it's receptive because we've created that space where like it's not just like we're doing this because I'm upset. It happens often. And so I definitely 100% encourage that, because we've seen like a huge transformation over the last few years, like in our marriage with that restorative practice.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
I
for
love
sure.
that. And I love how you point out not waiting until frustration is there, because now when you're trying to do that at the point of frustration, ain't none of y'all trying to hear each other, because you're already frustrated. I don't even care at this point. And so making that basically a practice in your marriage, I think that is so key. I love that.
It is.
Yeah.
And the intentionality is there. I mean, that can't be done without intentionality. In communication, and like you said, that changed over time, but you got to communicate. A lot of us got that avoidance spirit, we don't want to, but we have to.
Because I'm very much like Zach. I'm one to address. I like to address in the moment once I recognize that there is a literally, and I think that is something I'm also working on just within myself, is that like sometimes not everything has to be addressed in that moment. There is a time, there is a place, and there's a way that you do it. Because I'm very much like, okay, what's the problem?
Oh my God.
That's what, and that's how we say it. But like not even just in like marriage, but also in relationships too. I'm very much like, I know I want to address this, and so I think that is very important.
Yeah, absolutely,
for sure.
Well, y'all done saw one of the four, right? So all four of the kids in the back there. So we ain't gonna take up too much more of the time, but we just want to thank you so much.
Thank you
for being here, taking your time out of your busy schedule and day. We know the kids ready to go play, so we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much, and we know that you bless us, and we know you bless the viewers with the intake on family ministry, all right, and marriage. And so we thank you so much. Y'all remember to be the bridge that helps you get over. Bye.
Be the bridge that has helped you get over.